Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world, par for the course, another lady! A little late start. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism. For it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Democrat. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. I'm your host, the exceptional one, Kim McClinton. I'm very apologetic to those who happen to be following along at home in the chat room. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a wild day indeed. I tell you. But I am so glad that you are here tonight because you are the promise for this particular age. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to focus tonight on two things. Mary Brockman, my bouncers in the chat room tonight. God bless you. Thank you so much for being here. I love you dearly. Also, if you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. My lovely wife, Mrs. Biggs, who turned on all the computers for me because I was running late, needed to get in here and get this show started. Thank you so much. I love you dearly. I really appreciate your support, your love, your kindness, your gentility as we prepare to celebrate our 17th wedding anniversary this weekend. God bless you, baby. Love you. Thank you so much. We got a lot to talk about tonight. What is our purpose? This is a big thing. At 10 p.m., we'll give you a sneak peek at this weekend's New Day Black and Red. In fact, we will be taping it. The Underground Professor will be joining us for conversation. Tonight, we're going to talk about Utopian Christmas, what it looks like for those who are statists and those who happen to be constitutionalists. I am so thankful that you're here. And so thankful to the great people at SHR Media. Also, Rebooting Liberty, High Plains Talk, and all the others that cover us. SHR, if I did say it, SHR Media, and all the others that cover us. You know how we get started on a night like this. We take off our hats. We put our right hand over our heart. And then we begin to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, Mrs. will lead us third grade Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right! That's the way we get started, baby. And so glad to have you all here again tonight. This has been a wild day. It really has. I want to tell everyone, first and foremost, I have gotten word from Jackie Benson from WRC Channel 4, NBC News here in Washington, D.C., and she's been covering the story regarding my daughter's death, Shanice, since its origin, May 27th of this year. And she has sent me a note. She sent this note to me while I was in class this evening, preparing for the Internal Revenue Service's Volunteer Income Tax Assistance for the new year, 2016. And quite frankly, I am very well pleased with what she's been doing for us, championing the cause of open heart closed case. And she sent a little note to me. We are editing to interview right now. Looks very good. Plan is to run the story at 11 tonight. and that she also, I have let MPD know in case anyone calls with info. There you go. So all hopes are tonight. They run that story, and someone answers in this particular season of giving. What a glorious salvation it would be if we found all of those that were responsible for the death of Shanice Milton this Christmas. What a gift that would be from the Lord, indeed. Just put this on in here. Yeah, okay, that may help brighten it all up. There you go. Okay. Tonight, I also want to go over another story before we really get started with tonight's show. Mary, I didn't get the message yet. Dave Milner, glad to have you in here. Dave Milner is the the unpleasant blind guy. He's the underground unpleasant blind guy. Okay. Forgive me. I apologize to you all. It's really been a very long day. But Dave, God bless you, sir. And this will be Dave's last night with us. He's going to retract, take a Sabbath, rest, and renew for the new year. And we love his commentary. We love the fact that he refreshes himself and strengthens himself to carry on the battle. And what a great soldier he is. And we thank you, sir, and we want you to have the greatest rest that you possibly can have this season. Now, there was a budget bill that was passed. A budget bill that was passed. It's $1.9 trillion or something to the effect. It gave Obama everything that he wanted. And it just showed how strong a conservative Paul Ryan is. So if you put those two sentences together, you understand my sarcasm this particular evening. I don't know what happened with the conservatives, the House conservatives, but they didn't put up a fuss about this particular budget. I don't know. But there's some things that you need to know. If you're living in District of Columbia, a number of measures in the $662 million budget deal under consideration by Congress could ultimately have a major impact on D.C. And this is out of today's Washington Business Journal. This is why you know for a fact that there need to be nothing but conservatives running in every office in the land. Okay, I'm just going to let you all know. And people talk about the lobbying power of Exelon and Pepco and all these other major corporations, Exxon and Mobil and Shell, and wow, they got so much marketing and lobbying power with these who are on Capitol Hill. But let me tell you a story that you may not know. Anybody ever hear of Care First, Blue Cross Blue Shield? For those people in Washington, D.C., you may have heard of them. And I want you to understand something. People think that nonprofits don't have power. And in fact, the nonprofit that most people are concerned about are churches. Oh, those churches, but they got too much power. No. This is a nonprofit, Care First, Blue Cross Blue Shield. And they lobbied Congress on the budget measure. And this is what they got. Okay, this is the power of Care First. Don't think the insurance companies aren't profiting during the seasons of Obamacare. There was a rider put on the district budget measure which would require Care First to follow certain efficiency standards and reinvest in the D.C. community. It would limit the district from requiring, in fact, let me just say that. D.C. government can no longer force Care First, Blue Cross Blue Shield to involve itself in community activities. Just to tell you right back, and here it is. The rider, which specifically names Care First subsidiary Group Hospitalization and Medical Services Incorporated, the rider says the corporation shall not divide, attribute, distribute, or reduce its surplus pursuant to any statute, regulation, or order of any jurisdiction without the express agreement of the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. That basically means that DC has to get the approval of Maryland and Virginia in order to require the insurer to do anything with its surplus. Why is that important? Because what does Care First use in order to afford the Obama? Hey. So they got a great deal out of this particular. They got a great deal. Now, I just want to let you know when you know it was a great deal for the corporation. In a statement, Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton, D.C. Democrat, who was in the House of Representatives there, who doesn't vote, described the new budget rider as anti-home rule. Just anti-home rule. And said she was disappointed by it. She also said she does not believe it applies to cases before 2012, thereby allowing D.C. to enforce DISB's order that GHMSI reinvests $56 million. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? You don't think it's retroactive? Well, guess what's going to happen? They're going to go to court on that one. I assure you. So, ladies and gentlemen, Care First, using the First Amendment in the power of the purse to exact strength against a city that has practiced corruption and shakedowns for way too long. And what a nice shot. All the Blue Cross and Blue Shields should require the very same thing. They really should. They go right to Congress and ask them to do it for you. All 3 states have to agree. You're not going to get all 3 states in any area of the regions to ever agree on anything. Congratulations, Blue Cross. Whoever was the lobbyist for that deal, congratulations. You deserve a big Christmas bonus. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk with you about purpose and why purpose is important going into 2016. Your worldview matters a great deal. Coming up, YouTube Infused Restaurant. Well, that's where we play it from, but Infused Restaurant's commercial. Yeah, it's coming up any second now. Have these last few days just been something else or the other for us?
This is Arnold. I'm the executive chef of the Infused Restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. So we're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that they cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and good. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. So we keep the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80/20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're gonna grill it to perfection. After I flip the burgers, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
I don't know why y'all still here. And the commercial didn't tell you what to do. Let me tell you. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. Telephone number 301-449-9000. Infuse.com. Infuse.com. Check them out. Cater your next meal. It's simple. It's really simple. I want to thank everybody who's in the chat room tonight who's digging this really close-up look at Ken McClinton via Ustream. This is what happens to you when you're running, well, actually when you're being produced by tardiness. So, so you really are going to get a very close-up vision of Ken McClinton in his studio. And for those who are watching via live stream, a little bit more distant one tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, because of global warming, we have experienced Indian summer. I'm sorry, that was racist, and I can't say Indian summer. We have experienced Native American summer. Tonto would be pleased. But people are running around and saying, quite frankly, that this is a sign of the end times and that we need to hurry up and do whatever they told us to do in Paris. Because we could take Obama at his word. You can keep your doctor, you keep your plan, you can keep your sanity. We can certainly take Mr. Frankenstein, who's Secretary of State's word, and that this is not a redistribution of wealth ploy. So, quite frankly, thanks to Obama, next year, throughout the world, every day will be 72 degrees and no rain. Thank God for Obama. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been looking at worldview all of this week because how you see the world influences the decisions that you make, and it influences the policies that are made for you. Because you select individuals to represent you. You hope that those representatives share your world view. If they don't share your worldview, then quite frankly, you're going to be spending a great deal of time trying to figure out exactly why they are acting in a fashion that you were not alert to in the first place, that they wouldn't ordinarily do. A worldview is and we're taking this from Matt Slick, what is a Christian worldview and why do Christians need one? A worldview is a set of presuppositions and beliefs that someone uses to interpret and form opinions about his humanity, purpose in life, duties in the world, responsibilities to family, interpretation of truth, social issues, etc. A Christian should view all things, and I'm going to put that right in the chat roll because I know that a lot of people who are in the conservative movement would be very, very upset with what I'm about to say to you all tonight, and try to find another place to go to listen to conservative talk, and I'm okay with that. Mary will tell you, I've gone through many desert periods. When I went from Blog Talk Radio to doing the FM thing in DC for a couple of weeks, and then that failed and had to go back to Blog Talk Radio, I lost a lot of people who were listeners. And when I left Blog Talk Radio and went to Spreaker, lost a lot of people. And then went from Spreaker back to Blog Talk, lost a lot of people. And then went from Blog Talk Radio, which I am no longer a part of, to Ustream. Now I lost a lot of people. So losing people is not necessarily a concern of mine. But preaching the good news to you and making certain that you understand from a biblical point of view, as well as a constitutional point of view, that there are certain expectations upon all of us. So that's me in a nutshell on that particular matter at hand. But I also wanted to announce today, before we continue with this, I want to put this in the chat room because I want them to see it first before I make this announcement to the world. Okay, so as we continue on with our study of worldview. Okay, and I'll wait for them to make their comment on it, and then I will tell you. But a Christian should view all of these things and more guided by the light that is shed upon them by the Bible. So when someone tells you that the Bible did not prepare you to be a family, they haven't read it. When people tell you that Christians should not be involved in politics, they haven't read it. When they tell you that education should be secular so that everyone has a fair chance of learning, they haven't read the Bible. When people say that Islam is the equivalent to Christianity, is the equivalent to Hinduism, is the equivalent to Jehovah's Witness, and so on and so on, they haven't read the Bible. And when someone tells you that a law to kill 70 million babies since 1972 in America is what is a acceptable moral provision, they haven't read the Bible. So many of our decisions are being made because we haven't actually referred back to it. Now, the Bible has much to say about the nature of man, according to Matt Slick. The world, purposes, truth, morality, etc. And so does the world. More often than not, the secular worldview is in conflict with the biblical one. I want you all to understand that. There are many times when the Bible and the world will line up as one in agreement. But often, they don't. Where the world says that there is no need of salvation and redemption, the Bible clearly states that all people are in need of deliverance from their sin. The contrast is obvious and profound. Both cannot be true. Matt Slick, I want to thank you so much for your commentary. I want to end it this way with worldview. Matt Slick says in his closing paragraph, the Christian community has a great deal of work left to accomplish. To fully carry out the mandate of winning the world to Christ, or winning the world for Christ, Christians must adopt a biblical worldview in all aspects of life and present to the world biblical perspectives on every niche of our existence. This includes everything: education, medicine, the arts, politics, science, contemporary issues, ethics, and more. To God be the glory. All of those are subject to the glory of God. They are not set aside. For anything outside of the will. I want to announce to everyone that many people would think that it's difficult to do what we do, presenting a Christian worldview, a conservative worldview, a capitalist worldview, and a constitutional worldview, and that no one would listen to us. But I want to make this announcement to you all tonight, since everyone has made their announcement. I'm so sorry, Mary, that there's no navigation at Reverb Nation, but from our statistical understanding, as of last night, the Exceptional Conservative Show is top 20 thrice on Reverb Nation spoken word charts. In 3 areas, we're in the top 20. In Washington, D.C., we are the #1 conservative talk, urban conservative talk radio show. Nationally, we are ranked number 17. And globally, we are ranked number 18. All I'm saying to you is, to God be the glory. Setting our aim and our intentions and our desires squarely on Him and presenting Him has opened up great promise, great opportunity, and great success. None of this is mine. Certainly mine alone. If not for us going before God, where would we be? So here we are on purpose. And I want you all to understand that there are individuals who have purposes, but all those purposes don't necessarily align with a biblical worldview. Purpose is a word with this particular definition. Let me get it for you. Define purpose. Bam. There we go. The reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. You know, people walk around talking about Jesus is the reason for the season. Let me express something to you. The season alone is subject to the reason of God. The reason why something is done or used, the aim or intention of something, the feeling of being determined to do or achieve something, the aim or goal of a person, what a person is trying to do or become. That is, simplistically, the definition of purpose. In addition to that, purpose, when you look back as it being a noun to its Old French and Latin roots, refers to being put in place, to be put forth, to put forth. So I want to do this for you real quick, and then we got to take a quick break, go do some commercial stuff, and then come back. But I want you to understand something right here. And I don't know if we'll all get the understanding of this. Okay. But I hope that you do. In the King James Bible, there is Genesis. It is the first book, first canoned book. And I want you to understand purpose. Because a lot of people think that God doesn't have a purpose. But I want you to know how intelligent His design was. Even God has a purpose for all that He creates. The land, the water, the air, the fish of the sea, the cattle on the land, the gardens, the trees, everything that He created had a purpose. God had a purpose in creating. And I'm going to show you that right now, then we're going to go to a break. I want you, and I'm going to take everybody there, hopefully, if you put this in the chat roll. Because there's some people listening tonight who don't have a purpose, who feel that God doesn't have something for them to do, who feel that there is no aim, no intention for their lives. They're completely off kilter, and if they were gone today, no one will miss them tomorrow. And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. To dress it and to keep it. I want to go to the Blue Letter Bible real quick, because there is power in understanding dress it and keep it in Genesis chapter 2. Tonight we're talking about purpose. What is your purpose? What is our purpose? In Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. I'll put that right up in there. Do for those following along at home. In that particular chapter, he put forth, put him, Yanaka, which is Strong's H3240, Yanaka. It means to rest, to settle down, to remain. It means to be in an outstretched manner. To put forth, really in Latin, means to be laying out. He put forth man. So why would he put forth man? What is the purpose of putting him? Putting him, man, Adama. Why did you put Adama, into the garden? Garden. The enclosure. The area of the bride. That is what Strong's H1588 God means. It is the enclosed area, the garden of a bride. It is of a bride. God is preparing the imagery from the very beginning of man being married to him in a spiritual sense. That God created everything in witness of himself, pointing back to him, and then he put man, stretch forth man, into that enclosure as if a bride waiting for a husbandman. And what was the purpose in doing that? The purpose of Eden was to dress it, abad, which means to labor, to do work, to serve, to compel to labor and to work, which is probably one of the sins that Adam had regarding Eve. To cause to labor, to cause to serve as subjects. You see, Adam's responsibility was to teach all men to serve the Lord. That's what Avad, Strong's H5647 means in that instance. It is to dress it, to teach people to serve, and to keep it. Shamar, H8104. Job is to keep it, to guard it, to observe it, and to give heed. I want y'all to pay attention now. These are his duties. To keep it, to guard it, to observe it, to give heed. Our job, ladies and gentlemen, in purpose, is to bring forth wholesome worship of God. To labor not in vain or in vanity, but to labor unto him in everything that we say, think, and do. And then that which he has given us, we are to keep it, to guard it, to observe it, and to give heed. When we come back, we're going to talk about purpose. Purpose in 2016 for our nation, for our country, for our people, for our families, and for our creation. You're listening tonight to the Exceptional Conservative Show. We are talking about what is purpose.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of a food restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. So we're making a pizza. We use French Italian sausage that they cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and indigenous. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused beef burgers. So we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck hand patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but you should be on your way to 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland. 20748 is the zip code. 301-449-9000 is the telephone number. At infusedinfused.com, listen, the best food in town. It's not just downtown Washington. It's in Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland. Make certain that you make your way there. Stockings for Soldiers, Delaware Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming towards the end, so we really need your support here. The organization was founded to help improve the morale and welfare of members of the armed forces of the United States of America deployed in harm's way. It was built to accomplish our mission by sewing holiday stockings and filling them with special items for the troops. Many of the stockings that are sent are for a specific purpose and for a specific person, with their name on the stocking itself. For many troops, the gift is all they receive for the holidays. Listen, we're coming towards the end. They're trying to send a touch of home as well as personal messages of support to remind our troops that we appreciate all they do for us and to let them know that they have not been forgotten over the holidays. Now, they depend on the generosity of others to help in accomplishing the vision and the mission. Stockings for Soldiers, Delaware Incorporated is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. As such, donations are deductible to the extent allowed by law. Please consult your tax professional for more information. If you would like to make a donation to our community project, please send your check to Stockings for Soldiers, Delaware Incorporated, Stockings for Soldiers, Delaware Incorporated. 1911 Folk Road, that's F-O-U-L-K Road, Wilmington, Delaware, 19810. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, we end our year. I believe it is the last Friday live Conservative Commandos radio show of the year on WNJC 1360 AM, the superstation, Philadelphia, PA, heard in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, also in Delaware and New Jersey, and around the world on Conservative Commandos Radio Network. 3 big guests tomorrow. Dr. Brooks Robinson will be joining us at 3:35 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be talking about, forgive me, entrepreneurialism and its desired need in our community. And then at 4:05, attorney Mark Little will be talking with us about the Baltimore situation and so much more. And then finally, he is the prodigal Republican. You all know him as that. And then at 4:35, Kay Daly, who is running for the U.S. Senate out of North Carolina, will be joining us, and we have a lot to talk about regarding foreign policy, about the budget, and what the IRS plans to do with churches. Wow. Big conversations tomorrow. Please be in attendance.
Right swipe. It's gonna be a right swipe. This man just shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh, you stole mine. Right swipe.
Right swipe, right swipe.
That looks like my sister. It does. But I know she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten. Oh my god, I want to eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Left swipe.
Left swipe.
Let's swipe that. You gotta swipe it left. Yeah. You gotta swipe it left. Let's swipe that. You gotta swipe it left. If I don't like you, I gotta let's swipe that. Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff. Hashtag flexing. Yeah, you work out, you're in shape. Okay, I like the 6-pack abs, now the 6-packs a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie. Home line, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. Hottie just couldn't overlook one small fact.
She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
And I'm not tired. You good and it's I just let's swipe, bye bye. I just let's swipe. Let's swipe that. You gotta swipe it left. Yeah. You gotta swipe it left. Let's swipe that. You gotta swipe it left. If I don't like you, I gotta let's swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all offensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really
A
care.
lot of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking you from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with the tiger?
Let's swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Let's swipe that.
Smoking while acting healthy.
Let's swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Let's swipe that.
Smoking with a duck face.
Let's swipe that.
At a monster truck race?
Let's swipe that.
Smoking at the prom.
Let's swipe that.
Even at a photo bomb?
He don't care.
Let's swipe that. You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. If I don't like you, I gotta let's swipe that. You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
Sad. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you're going to make a resolution, and I am not a resolution kind of guy. Really, I am not. I don't believe in resolutions for myself, personally. I know it works for other people, but I'm just not a keeper of them. But if you're the resolution kind of person, make a resolution to drop the habit of smoking. You'll live longer, and so will the people around you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about what is purpose. We talked earlier, and we went to the very beginnings of purpose. We know that God created us to be in a spiritual relationship with Him, married to Him, so that our worldview would be His worldview, and His worldview would be our worldview. we would be aligned with him in his word. Not that we would give him the power of creation, but because he has the power of creation, we would be willing to do his will. Now, a lot of people believe that when it comes to purposes, they don't have one. And they just basically are shucking and jiving until maybe someone gives them one. But you do have, my friends, a purpose. And as we end this particular talk tonight regarding purpose, I want you to understand some things. Having a purpose is based on you having a vision. And I'm not talking about you getting naked and running out into the cold woods of Minnesota to find that great vision. No, that's not what we're talking about here. Your vision has to be built out of the reason for your existence. If the reason for your existence is merely to impress or to live according to mankind, then of all men, you will be most miserable. In order to have a successful vision, your reason for existence should be built around the purposes of God. To give him glory, to do his will, to prosper according to his way. So you have to have certain core values that are in place as well. Your values should be built around certain principles and precepts. Now, there are lots of people who would like to give you aphorisms, but they alone are not sustenance. A word-induced core value can sustain you in times that are good and also bad. And we must be able to propose our values to people. They should not necessarily be universal. They should be unique to you and whatever your particular individual purpose are. But nevertheless, they should align themselves with the values of God. And then finally, your purpose should be a strategic one. You are at battle whether you like it or not. Even people at peace are at battle. They're at battle with keeping the peace. People who are at war are at battle to find it. You are always at war. You're always at battle. So there must be a strategy to ascertain your purpose through your vision. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want you all to understand that there are some benefits going into 2016 with understanding what your purposes are. You understand your purposes by the vision that you have. Your vision being one built on a worldview, your worldview being built on your relationship with man and your relationship with God. You should be able to look back on what your vision is to point you in the direction of your purposes. Your aim, your intention, your agenda. Vision provides that direction. Your vision should also provide you guidance. Well, if your vision is based on what the man thinks, well, you're going to receive a multitude of guidances. Maybe some good, maybe some bad, and most of them ugly. If it is a word-centered vision, then its purposes will be built upon the framework of the guidance and the decision-making of those who are led by that word. Your vision shapes your family. Whether you like it or not, family will always be a part of you. Your purposes are to get your family to be in a spiritual relationship with God. Whether you like it or not, that really is your purpose. So that same purpose would be for your nation. Oh, you trying to force people to accept God. I'm not trying to force anything. But I am trying to say that there should be a moral standard so great that people would be willing to follow him because they see the pleasantries in you. I have run out of time regarding purpose, and it's just so much more I wanted to say about it. But when we come back, we'll be talking with the underground professor on a sneak preview of, in fact, it is the New Day Black and Red. So the next thing that you'll hear will be New Day Black and Red. I want to thank everybody for coming to this show. I apologize for the tardiness, but I also want to say to you that Rebooting Liberty, High Plains Talk, SHR Media, The Voice of Liberty, Blueberry, Stitcher, and so many others, I really thank you so much for being there with us and helping us spread the good news of conservatism, constitutionalism, capitalism, but most importantly, last but certainly not least, Christ. We'll be right back. Good evening, underground professor.
What are you wearing?
Khakis.
Boy, you sound like one woman.
My name's Caitlyn Jenner. Ladies and gentlemen.
I want to refund on this 900 number.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all around the world, I want to thank you so much for joining us for Saturday afternoon's 5 p.m. edition of New Day Black and Red, live from the great Superstation 1360 AM out of Philadelphia, PA, home to the powerful, liberating force that Conservative Commandos Radio Network is. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can hear us in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, in Delaware, in New Jersey, which is Krispy Kreme land, and around the world on the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. I want to thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon and listening to us. I have with me at my stead the great, immaculate, and wondrous commentator of classical liberalism, none other than the progenitor of the federated conservative constitutional republic that we are, none other than the underground professor Dr. Michael Jones. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you, sir.
Not sure I understood anything you just said.
what a case of eggnog would do for any great host, like the exceptional one, Ken McClinton. So glad to have you all here today.
Yay.
St. Nicholas, how's Christmas coming?
Well, it was going well until last night. 11 o'clock, I got a call from my ex-wife. My youngest had been in a car wreck. Car's totaled. Guy pulled out in front of her in a red light, and she couldn't stop. Plowed into him. But she's okay. Car's totaled. And then I got home today from work and found Mandy Sue, my blind pug, is not in the backyard. And I finally figured out how they're getting out. I found a little hole.
Oh.
But, I've been, for the last hour and a half, I've been running around trying to find her. It's going to be 30 degrees out here tonight. And I don't know what to do. I am beside myself right now.
Wow.
Yeah. I have not had a good string of luck with my dogs. Now I'm down to 4 right now. But unbeknownst to me, the ground had moved and the fence is lifted up just enough where Mercury could get out. Now Mandy Sue. So I fixed that here about half an hour ago, but I've gone all over the neighborhood. I don't know how to find the ocean. A pug can't find their way anywhere. They don't have a sense of smell like dogs do.
Yeah.
And she's blind, so I have no idea what to do. I'm going crazy right now.
Well, I pray that she miraculously returns home.
Yeah, me too. She's low jack, but I can't do anything until I can call the vet tomorrow.
Well, maybe someone picked her up to be a great Christmas gift for someone that they have forgot to get a gift for. That would probably be it. The low jack goes off under the Christmas tree. There you go. We found the baby. Oh my goodness. I wanted to talk with you tonight about, well, actually this afternoon. We got to pretend that this afternoon because it's New Day Black and Red on Saturday live or something to that effect. So we're faking
it's your
it.
crack, smoke it.
It's my crack. I'm going for it. I wanted to talk.
You wonder that old show, that old song, Jimmy Crack Corn.
You know, that's racist. That's Jim Crow era song. And New Orleans said they're going to get rid of all the racist material in the city. So there you go.
Well, I have to agree with Jimmy. I don't care. Jimmy Crack Corn. And
I don't care.
That's my new philosophy. Yeah, I'm tired of political correctness.
There you go. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But I wanted to talk with you about what would Christmas be like for the utopias of conservatism and the utopias of statism. Yeah.
Now, did you hear my last show by any chance?
No, I did not, and I do apologize, sir. I have been...
No apologies necessary. But it just happens to be that the show that I did was on Is Santa a Progressive or a Conservative?
Now, isn't this amazing? People wonder if we talk about what we're going to talk about on New Day Black and Red. Like we actually hold conversations and do great dissertations on it before. But this is divine.
It's not like we're best friends and shit.
It's not like I come over to your house with my Barbie dolls and play with your Barbie dolls. It's not like that at all.
Well, not anymore anyway.
You took my Barbie doll and I want it back. But
when Ken started yelling, hide the white Barbies, I've got to intervene. Intervention time.
Where the white Barbies at?
Yeah. So I discovered that if Santa was a progressive, now I thought what would happen would be that I would go to somebody's house and I would look under their tree and then select particular gifts, put them in my Santa bag, and then depart, and then give them at some other house where I leave them. That would be a progressive Santa, a statist Santa, a Democrat Santa. But a conservative Santa makes the children behave and perform for their gifts. He profiles the children, and then he rewards them with presents out of love. That's the major difference between a statist Santa and a conservative Santa that you asked earlier.
Well, wait a minute, but don't they both love the children?
Oh, well, sure. They are both doing it for the children. You may not want to use the word love because I don't know that, that is applicable, because to a statist, it's a function. It's as emotionless as they can make it, although they are nothing but emotional. But it's not about love. It's about doing the right thing. It's about making it fair. And so when you give gifts, they're utilitarian gifts, and you make sure that they don't get good stuff. You would make sure that the rich children, get things like one shoe with no laces, and the poor children, to make it fair, get Maseratis.
There you go. Because speed matters.
And so that they can drive down the street in their brand new Maserati from Santa and get tickets or pulled over constantly because they don't belong in a Maserati and the cops think they stole them. So, yeah.
Which isn't fair. Which isn't fair.
Right. Not fair to, but, it's an unintended consequence by the state.
Now,
but they're both doing it for the children. There's very little in progressivism that isn't done in the name of children.
Even though they don't want them. Right?
Well, not really. They want them planned and they want them wanted. And if it isn't, just the absolute best thing in your world, then they want to kill it. And they're pretty frowned upon anybody having a child because they look at everybody and think, you probably shouldn't be a parent. Which is why they have to create all these institutions to raise your children.
Now, Dave Milner out of our chat roll has a question. It is in the SHR Media Live chat roll at the Exceptional Conservative Show that we're getting this question. I had to throw all that in because that's the kind of commercial artist I am, sir. He asks about the lump of coal. How does the lump of coal play into that particular situation?
Well, Santa used to give progressive children coal as a standard because of the parents and the sins of the fathers. But the environmentalists put Santa out of that business because of coal, and we even switched to lignite in the 70s, to make it cleaner.
Exactly.
Clean burning coal and stuff. But Obama's put a lot of elves out of work. They're all on welfare because they're no longer digging coal. And with the way the progressives are in this country, the Democrat Party, we were pretty much denuding mountains of coal, trying to keep up with the supply, the demand of supply for the Democrats this Christmas. It was just really terrible. Yeah, you see these trains going by with 82 cars full of coal.
Yeah,
they're all heading up to Washington so that we can start handing them out to the Democrats and the GOP rhinocrats.
We are talking this afternoon with the wondrous mind of classical liberalism, the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones, and he is on SHR Media and also on the Conservative Commandos Radio Network with me, the exceptional one. A lot of people think that we're being cynics and callous and even irreverent because we are making the comparison of conservatives or classical liberalists with utopian status over the Christmas tree. But I wanted to ask you in regards to the whole vignette of Christmas, why the purposes of St. Nicholas? And why is his imagery so important in terms of dealing with not only the ideologies that have taken hold of our country, but also the hope that we have for the future.
Say that again.
The tree man and Santa Claus, what they mean?
Well, the Germans gave us the Christmas tree tradition.
Yeah.
Bringing in Yuletide and, Tannenbaum into the house and greening up the house with their evergreens. But well, as I said on my program, is Santa a frog tart? I'm sorry, Winston just jumped on my lap. Santa's not a political creature. He's a religious creature.
Mm-hmm.
And, people like to use Santa as a secular symbol, which is why the progressives have glommed onto Santa, because he's not Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And he's widely recognized as having a role at Christmas. So they have glommed onto him as the non-religious avenue of Christmas, failing, to understand that Santa is all about the religious part of Christmas. Mm-hmm. He is not he is not above or separate from the religious aspects of Christmas any more than Christ is. Christ is what Christmas is all about. So they're trying to use it as a tool to leverage us out of the religiosity of the holiday so that they can make it just another shopping spree for the economy.
Mm-hmm.
And further separate us from our religious beliefs. But the idea of, in my mind, of Santa is neither conservative nor progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Although he would be more, if Santa was to be a registered voter in America, which he's not, but if I was a registered voter in America,
mm-hmm.
as Santa Claus, I would probably be a constitutionalist.
Mm-hmm.
But having my voter ID registered in the North Pole,
yeah. But that would,
we do have voter ID up there, by the way.
Yeah, but actually you would be eligible like Ted Cruz because you were born near Canada. So,
well, I could be a dual citizen, yeah.
Yeah.
With Russia and Canada.
But the whole idea of making Santa and Christmas secular gives rise to the opportunity for those on the left to take away the First Amendment and to force individuals to become silent. And I wanted to find out from you, in the past year, are there things that you have seen that have gone dramatically against what the Christmas season is all about?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When you look like Santa and you wish people a Merry Christmas, they wish it right back to you.
Mm-hmm.
But I've gone to places where I've said Merry Christmas and, like at Walmart, and the employee would lean over and whisper it back to me.
Yeah.
Or their face would screw up, at these places, and they'd be uncomfortable that I said it. But then they would say something like, well, yeah, but you're Santa. I guess you can get away with that. What do you mean get away with it? The First Amendment says I have a right to worship God the way God has told me to worship Him.
Mm-hmm.
And that, that's not a carte blanche for every wackadoodle religion to, be able to be practiced. But wishing someone a Merry Christmas should be a joyful thing, and it shouldn't matter whether that person I wished a Merry Christmas to is Jewish or Islam or Christian or an atheist. I have wished I wished a couple of rabbis the other day a Merry Christmas, and they laughed and wished it right back to me. They said, well, thank you, Santa. Merry Christmas to you. And I said, hey, and don't forget, have a Merry Hanukkah. And they laughed and said, it's Happy Hanukkah. And I said, whatever makes you. And they just grinned and walked off, laughing. But the thing is, how can you be offended by someone wishing you joy in your heart and peace and, sign up to be offended, and and it's not really that they're offended; it's just that they have the ability to shut you down and embarrass you. So they use that as a technique, and that's all that it is a technique to get us to shut up and be quiet. And it's the same thing at a different level, but it is the same thing like what happened with the clock bomb maker here in Texas, little Ahmed Mohammed or whatever his name is. Building that clock. It wasn't because it was a real clock. It was designed to embarrass us and to shut us up so that the next time we won't say anything and they can get away with whatever they want. And it shuts down debate. And what this is actually is a shutdown of our freedoms and our liberties, because we can't exercise them and we're embarrassed or afraid to exercise them.
Well, I want to.
It used to be that every city hall had a creche in front of it at Christmas. Everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I defy you to find me a city hall with a creche in it. There probably are a few, but I'll tell you where they'll be. They'll be rural, and they won't be on the coasts. They won't be in a blue state. They'll be in a red state.
Exactly. Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. used to be America's Avenue. And during this holiday season, from the White House to the U.S. Capitol, it would be a line and flurry of red, white, and blue, but of Christmas and other regalia. And tonight, it's as dark and as miserable as any street in Moscow. So I wondered, is that going to bring us the peace that passes all understanding for America when we're able to keep the city lights lit, but add no other lights to that particular moment?
Well, the ironic thing is while we are racing towards the enjoyable lifestyle of the old Soviet Union, if you go to Moscow, you'll see it brilliantly lit now, and lots of lights and decorations, and celebrations of Christmas, So they've gone from the anti-religious Soviet state to the churches have been reopened, and you can practice your religion freely there, and they're encouraging it. So, they're actually going to where we used to be, and we're going to where they used to be. And it's the same kind of people in our country that are leading us in that direction that, wanted us to be vassals to the Soviet Union.
Okay. Well, let me go here with this quickly then. Don't we as Christians, people in the way, have a moral responsibility not to express ourselves in such offensive terms?
Well, as I said a few minutes ago, what's offensive with wishing someone joy in their life? You're not telling them they have to be Christian to wish them a Merry Christmas, although it would be better for their soul.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Let me play devil's advocate with that. Where do we get Merry Christmas from if not from Christ? And so if someone responds back Merry Christmas to you, doesn't it mean that they believe in Christ the way you believe in Christ?
Well, it doesn't mean that at all. When I was over in the Middle East, and we would say, Malik Salam and all that other crap. I can't remember all the things, Salam Alaikum and everything. It didn't mean that I was a Muslim.
Yeah.
It meant that I was respecting the host country and their traditions and ways of greeting, and they would reply back. Now, the one thing that you wouldn't get over there is them replying Merry Christmas to us or anything, because that is not something that Islam tolerates. When we were over there, we weren't allowed to have a Christmas tree. And we weren't allowed to wish each other Merry Christmas. We were given orders not to pass the greeting to one another. And we had a revolt. We actually, on the base I was at in the UAE, United Arab Emirates, we protested to the point where we said, screw these ragheads, we're going home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we weren't going to do anything. We were so I'll risk my life for these guys, but we can't have a Christmas tree in our tent where they can't see it. You know, so it can't offend them. But just because they knew it may be in our tent, they were so offended by that they issued edicts. And we, you know, and our preachers had to cover up their crosses on their uniforms. And, you know, and we started pushing back, saying, you know, no. We came over here, we stopped Saddam from, you know, taking over Saudi, and we stopped Saddam from all the other things, and we're about to go kick him out of Kuwait.
Mm-hmm.
And yet this is how they're treating us. You know, they wouldn't allow Bibles to be sent over. They wouldn't allow anything that was an R-rated movie to be sent over. You know, it was just amazing all that what the moral minders over there did. But that's their country, and you know. And our problem was not that they didn't have a right to do it, but that they weren't being very gracious to the fact that we were over there to save their butts. And they couldn't do it themselves. And yet they were telling us how we were going to do our religions and what we were going to do with our traditions and holidays. Now, you can get that over there. What pisses me off to no end, Ken, is when they try to do it over here to us. And that's what's happened, especially with this administration and its Islamic influences. They are really pushing back on Christmas and decorations and merriment and it's from the Fabian socialists. You know, we're seeing this trend that has continued to separate us from our God and from our founding fathers and from our organic founding documents. And this is just one more way to do it. You asked if we had a moral responsibility not to wish Merry Christmas to people. I would argue that as a Christian, we have a moral responsibility to wish people Merry Christmas. And by not doing that, you are denying Christ.
Ah, wow.
Now, yes, because if you're too embarrassed to say it, then you're denying Christ. Now, you may not say it that way. Others may say that's just too far, Professor. But I'm saying that if I have, as a Christian, the propensity to say Merry Christmas, and if I refuse to do it because I may embarrass somebody or offend them, then I'm denying Christ. And I won't do that. And mind you, let's look at every religion on this world, and you tell me how many of them are legitimate. Mm-hmm. Now, I know we're Christian, right? We say we're legitimate. They say they're legitimate. I get that level of the argument. But I ask you historically to go through the records and tell me what religions can find their basis in history.
Yeah.
Now, we can find that Jesus existed, and we know he was crucified, and we know most of those things have been backed up. We know where there were great floods, you know, so constantly we're finding proof that the the Old Testament and the New Testament are constantly being found to be proven right. Now, if you go and you look at Islam and the Mormons are basically the same story. You know, a dude goes out there and establishes a new religion, claims an archangel gave them the information, gold tablets or whatever, and then it gets written down and imparted and taught. There's no history. There's just no historians have found any records of these things, or can say, okay, we know, Muhammad was here, and we know other people saw the angel, or saw it with him. We don't have anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And but you do with Jesus. There were many eyewitnesses that saw him coming 3 days after his death, when the temple was rebuilt. And one of the most beautiful things, we know how cantankerous the apostles were.
Mm-hmm.
They argued about everything with one another. I mean, you remember the story where they were sitting there trying to decide who was number one.
Yep.
And wanted Jesus to point it out, and he gave them a lecture that the least among you is the first. They didn't quite get that. Well, we know that's how they talked about each other. But you know, the one thing we don't have is any contradictions from them on what happened with Jesus after. In fact, only one contradiction, that was Thomas, and he says, I don't believe it. And then Jesus came back and said, oh, okay, I believe now. You know, and of course we know what happened after that. But that was the only contradiction to that story. But there's a lot of historians that have found documents, evidence, writing that supports these things. And so Christianity actually has a basis in history where things like Islam does not.
Mm-hmm.
And so does the Hebrew religion. Not Hebrew religion, that's a language. The Jewish religion
Exactly.
has a basis in history. But you know, when you try to find these other religions, you find that they were created or discovered, or you know, if you want to believe that a caravan guard was picked and told everything about a religion, but he's illiterate, so he has to give it all orally, and then constantly corrects what he wrote through recidivism throughout the Quran. That's your business. That's your soul.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't be offended because other people have other beliefs, and because it's a false religion, they have to set it all up so that you can't challenge it.
Well,
because it won't stand up to logic, and that's why people get offended out there, Ken, is because their belief system, whether it's a paradigm of religion or a paradigm of politics, will not stand up to scrutiny.
Well, should there be an equal playing field since we have such a strong faith versus other religions? I mean, we already got the victory. Should we level out the playing field and maybe decrease so that other religions have an opportunity to compete?
Well, I see this as a soul thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where everybody that is on this planet will live in the afterlife.
Yeah.
Whether we're Muslim or atheist or agnostic or Christian, Buddhist, whatever, we're all going to make it to the afterlife. The problem is that some of us are going to go to the good side, and some of us are going to go to the not so good side.
Exactly.
and so we have a responsibility to try to show people about Christianity. And and the other religions would tell you the same thing. They have, just as much right or responsibility. Okay, fine. I don't argue that. But I do argue that they're not legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
Not even all the Christian religions are legitimate.
Exactly.
So, but as a Christian, and in my heart and in my mind, my studies, I know this to be a true religion. And I find it a moral imperative to make sure that I live my life as much as I can as an example, as a good Christian, and to teach other people about it so that they have a chance to be exposed to Christ.
We're talking tonight with the great Dr. Michael Jones, who is the underground professor and the star player in New Day Black and Red on Saturdays at 5 p.m. on WNJC 1360 AM, the superstation of Philadelphia, PA, heard on Conservative Commandos Radio Network, High Plains Talk, SHR Media, and many other great places of listenership. I want to do this very quickly before we go back to our conversation about Christian persecution at this time of the year. We're coming up on the very end of the Christmas season. Stockings for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated has been built for this season. In fact, it was founded to help improve the morale and welfare of members of the armed forces of the United States of America deployed in harm's way. We accomplished our mission by sewing holiday stockings and filling them with special items for the troops. Many of the stockings that we send are for a specific person with their name on the stocking. For many troops, our gift is all they receive for the holidays. We're trying to send a special touch of home as well as a personal message of support to remind our troops that we appreciate all they do for us and to let them know that we have not forgotten everything they've done for us, especially during this holiday season. They depend on the generosity of others to help accomplish the vital mission. Stocking for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. As such, donations are deductible to the extent allowed by law. Please check your tax professional for more information. If you would like to make a donation to our community project, please send your check to Stockings for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated. That's 1911 Folk Road. That's F-O-U-L-K Road, Wilmington, Delaware, 19810. Ladies and gentlemen, they thank you already, and you can really brighten up our soldiers in Afghanistan, in Kuwait, and other places around the world just by making sure that each and every one of them receives a stocking. Would you donate? We thank you in advance. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the oh my goodness, New Day Black and Red, live from 1360 AM out of the wonderful Conservative Commandos radio studios in Philadelphia, PA. Talking with the great Dr. Michael Jones. And Dr. Jones, the Assyrian International News Agency released a press release earlier this week, and their statement was the official and public indifference to the continued persecution and murder of Christians in the Middle East is a scandal of enormous proportions. Only a few internet websites are devoted to the rescue of persecuted Christians. The media, like the president, is blind to outrage. Expressions of concern by leaders of the West are few. The fact is, Christians face more persecution in more countries than any other religious group. Why would the Assyrian International News Agency lie like this at this time of the year? Isn't it us doing harm to the Muslim relations? Especially when you have Michael Moore standing in front of Donald Trump's hotel saying we are all Muslims. Shouldn't we all be Muslims like we should all be Charlie Hebdo?
Yeah, you look at Michael Moore and tell me he eats halal.
Ain't no bacon there, man. Ain't no bacon there.
I heard his next movie is coming out, and it's called Who Do We Attack Next? You know, McDonald's.
His world tour, I believe, begins at McDonald's and ends at Burger King. Like,
I pulled my head out. You still there? Ken?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. I just dropped it again. Dang, man. Oh. Okay, so I don't need any more help. Thank you.
Those are champion dogs working behind the scenes at the studios for Dr. Michael Jones. We will be sending over PETA any day now.
The worst thing is, Ken, is if this is a pug that I got from Pug Rescue, I'm just a fostering. I'm going to have to tell them I lost a dog.
No, you did not lose a dog. Your dog escaped.
Yeah.
That's the way I'm going to put the report in.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I'm beginning to think maybe I'm not as good a master as I thought I was. You know, I've had one die and two run away.
Well, you had no control over the deaths.
As good here as I thought.
No, you didn't have control over the deaths, and the one who ran away was already using cocaine anyway and wanted to get in the streets. So, you know, you can't blame him. Can't blame yourself for that.
Mandy Sue thought her name was Roxanne.
There you go. You should have known when she had the fishnets on and you brought her home. You should have knew something was wrong with that particular picture. So,
the red dress. You know, the thing that kind of gets me is I got a message from Amazon that I thought I bought Mandy Sue a Santa Claus outfit to wear with me, and I was going to have a picture of us together in our Santa outfits.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a message today that it was shipped today, and I was so excited I couldn't wait, to get home and tell Mandy that her Santa suit's on its way, and she's not here, and that's so dumb.
Wow.
Because I know that she wouldn't understand it anyway, but I'm just so excited all day about that. And then to have that one be the one that's not here, just really, it's like an icicle on the heart.
Wow. I am very sorry about that, Professor, because I don't have any animals. The last animal that I had was
You ate them all.
Yeah, I did. The last animal I had was well done. No, I had a
This
dog.
is that cow you had down here.
the whole cow, nothing but the cow. I had a dog, and there is no better companion in all of the world than to have a dog. And to lose, especially when it's not your fault, to lose the dog hurts more than anything else. The dogs matter so greatly, and especially during this time of the year. I would take a pause. We're going to talk about Christian persecution, but a lot of people say that their animal is their child. I never had that great affinity for animals, especially when you put bags over the cat's feet, that kind of thing. I'm just joking. I never did that, but but the closeness of the animals to you is so great, and so immense, and they are so loving. They appreciate all that you do for them, and you don't get that in the world with humanity.
It's unconditional love.
Yeah,
That's what I'm feeling like I let my dog down, by not keeping her safe.
yeah, but it's not that you did that. I mean, who could have known, except by exploration, what happened? But the bottom line is, you have always treated those dogs with great love, and with great joy, and the passion that you share for those dogs. I understand. I understand immensely that particular scenario situation, and to lose a good friend is as crushing to anyone as losing a friend in life. So I understand.
People say they're like your children, but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I had to choose between a dog and a daughter,
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't hesitate.
exactly.
Like, and you've lost a daughter, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Something like that. There's not enough dogs in the world you wouldn't have traded for that. But it's that unconditional love and trust. To an extent, they are like children because they need you. They need your guidance and your love and your rules, and they're dependent on you, and so they get into your heart in a way that like for me, because of my ex-wife, I've hardened my heart to most people.
Yeah.
There's very few humans that I allow into my heart, but I've got a huge heart for dogs, as is probably evidenced by how many I have.
Exactly. I want to ask you that because a lot of people want to give gifts this year, and they go past the pet store, and there's a little doggy in the window. The tag is wagging, just absolutely perfect, very glorious and beautiful. Is a dog or a cat even a great gift just to give to any child or any person? Is there something special that you have to be to care and love for a pet like that?
I get a lot of requests for pets as Santa, and I always try to dissuade them from it. And I would say this: I think adopting a pet, especially a sheltered pet, one that doesn't have a family anymore,
Mm-hmm.
Not a puppy mill one, but a sheltered one. Then I think that's a fantastic idea. But I don't think it's a good Christmas gift because it comes with a lot of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And and unless the person you're giving it to is a responsible individual and accountable for their deeds, then I would suggest that is a terrible gift to give, because they have to give it love and they have to clean it, and feed it, and vet it. It takes a lot of energy. Plus, their living lifestyle. Are they gone all the time? Is there ever anybody around?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of ramifications to consider.
But also chillingly, children seem not to care about anything except themselves. But when a pet comes into their life, it's like nothing they've ever had before, and
Right.
the sudden sickness or loss of that particular pet can be consuming. Can it not be?
Okay, it can. Now, as far as giving kids pets for Christmas, what my experience has been is that they take care of the pet for about 3 weeks, and then it's mom's job.
Yep.
To feed it and take it out to go poo and to clean it up, and and everything. So I think it's a terrible gift for a kid. Now, if you were like, say, 20-somethings and you're married or living together, and you get a dog as a shared responsibility, and it's like a test to see if the dog can live a year in your house with you without it being killed, that maybe you're ready to have children. I can see that. but getting a pet is kind of a personal thing. You don't just choose the pet also has to choose you, I think,
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do it that way, then you end up with the wrong pet.
Yeah.
And, and then there's problems, but there's so many pets out there that need adopting that I hate to ever say anything discouraging it, but just, you should be informed and know what you're doing and what you're in for. And if you give a child or a spouse a pet, be aware that you very well may have to be the one responsible for it.
That it's very cruel to get a pet for someone who isn't prepared to have a pet. Where there should be family planning, it should begin with pets. I don't think necessarily birthing, but planned pethood. There you go. But it hurts the animal too, because dogs are very cute when they're puppies, but by the age of 2, cuteness is gone. The lack of discipline is noticeable, and slowly but surely they move from being in the bedroom to being in the living room to being in the kitchen or or eventually outside, and eventually not noticed anymore in some cage outside. It can be destructive to the animal that shows it, right?
Yeah, exactly right. I'll give you an example. I smuggled a German Shepherd out of East Germany, and back when there was 2 Germanys, and I brought it home, and I gave it to my wife for a Christmas present.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing was that I spent time with the dog, smuggling it and getting it back to the States.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I gave it to her for Christmas. She loved the dog, thought it was the most brilliant gift ever. We named the dog Sparta. It was just a beautiful, smart shepherd, one of the smartest dogs I've ever seen. And my wife ended up hating the dog because the dog bonded with me instead of her. And the dog just knew that I was a good person and she wasn't. And so the dog had nothing to do with it. Well, I'm not even making a joke here. I'm being serious,
Yeah.
But even if not that, if you spend time with that animal prior to giving it to somebody, then you've got a bond with that animal.
Yeah.
That the person giving it doesn't. And that person will know it. They'll feel it. And could end up resenting it depending on what kind of person they are. And, but it makes a stressful relationship between dog and owner, or pet and owner.
Now,
I think it's more pronounced. With a cat, that doesn't really happen too often, but with a dog, it does.
have you ever run into a family that
Just once, and sorry.
as long as it's under your car insurance policy, you'll be fine. But have you run into a family that possibly got a dog for a kid, and the kid doesn't want it, they don't want it, and they just said, they've seen you with dogs, and they decided, hey, you wouldn't mind another dog. Would you take this one? How does that work?
Yeah. Well, I had 2 dogs that the vet told me were brother and sister from the same litter. Athena, which I still have, and Aries, who died, last year. He's the one that got hit in the head with a horse hoof. But we got them at Christmas time, and as far as we figured out, they were a gift for somebody for Christmas, and they didn't like them, and so they left. And I have one other occasion where I've been called up and said, "Hey, we know you're the dog guy," and I said, "Is that what they're calling me?" and there was it was a birthday gift, not a Christmas gift, but it didn't work out, they said, and so we took it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a Dalmatian. We named it Dottie.
Oh.
And my kids named it Dottie. But it was a retarded Dalmatian.
Mm-hmm.
And very spastic. And my ex-wife and it did not get along well. And so to put peace in the house, we took the dog and we put it up for adoption. Jody didn't have the tolerance for putting up with a retarded dog.
Yeah.
I think she felt mentally challenged by it.
Yeah.
And,
but also the needs of a dog are immense. The veterinarian fees, the special treatments, all of that. That's very expensive.
And putting a dog on a short bus is not easy either.
Re-rolling in the same class over and over again. It's difficult to imagine. We're talking tonight, this afternoon, with Dr. Michael Jones, New Day Black and Red, Saturday 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Conservative Commandos Radio Network. We're talking about dogs. We're at this particular point. Let's just be as politically incorrect as possible. Obama has another 12 some odd months in office. All hell's about to break loose. They'll probably right before Christmas do an executive order against gun control. So enjoy your holidays and get ready for war. We're talking about pets, dogs, because we're very well-rounded individuals. We are.
Like you are.
Yeah, we're Renaissance men.
Right. Some of us are rounder than others, but we're all round.
We are certainly my chubby cheeks tell it all. North and south.
I don't know what this executive order everybody's talking about could possibly do.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's not a single executive order that can be written that can affect us legally. Because an executive order is nothing more than an understanding of how the executive branch is to operate. And so he can ban members of the executive branch from having guns, I assume. Of course, if they don't want to, they can quit the executive branch and then have their Second Amendment rights restored by that action. But I can't foresee an order that he could write that is legal that I would have to comply with. And I would like to point out that in January, Texas is switching over to open carry.
Yay!
And so, in a couple of weeks, I don't have to worry about my concealed carry being exposed and then getting my licensing because someone saw it. So now it won't matter.
Yeah.
But I can't foresee that. And I also say this, whatever his executive order is, as a Texan, let me they say, come and take it.
There you go. Hallelujah. Come and get it.
Right. I'll give it to you a little at a time.
I wish I had a triangle right about here. We could start playing it. Yeah, come and get it.
Or cowbell. More cowbell.
More cowbell. This time of the year, I desire more cowbell. Along that particular vein, and speaking of vein, dealing with Los Angeles shutting down earlier this week completely. Oh yeah, well at least the schools did.
They found out there were too many white students in it or something?
Yeah, definitely there was a racial divide. And apparently 965 public schools shut down in Los Angeles because some guy in Germany decided to send a death threat by terror. New York got the same thing. They decided not to shut down. Are we overly keyed up about terrorism in our country, or are we being smitten too greatly with the ideals of Obama that this utopia of peace has come?
Well, I would just say this. Everything we're doing about terrorism, especially for the last 8 years, has been the wrong thing.
Yeah.
We're not handling it right. We're not educating Americans about it right. And the American people aren't demanding that we do it correctly because of the way it's been handled. They're unaware of how deep a threat this is. Now, you know, whether or not to shut the school system down because of a threat, I don't know who makes those decisions, but the threat would have to be fairly credible in order to do something like that, unless you're overreacting. But in this country, we have managed to say, if you want to do something, do it in a school because we have prevented anyone from being able to fight back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, look at all these stories that have cropped up just this week. I've seen at least 10 different stories where someone with a concealed carry has shot somebody that attempted to do a crime and saved everybody from being, you know, victims or being killed or being robbed or whatever. And you don't hear that in the news. You have to look for it and dig it up.
Mm-hmm.
In a school zone, you're not going to have a bunch of people with concealed carries unless you're like in Texas, where that also changes in January, where colleges now you can carry your gun, and teachers can carry now on school zones. Now the rest of us can't in school zones, as far as I know. But I believe they changed it to where teachers and administration can bear arms on campus. But you know, the funny thing is all of these people are screaming and crying foul, and yet go look at the 1950 Sears catalog.
Yes.
And you will see a picture of Mom and Dad and little Junior and little Missy, and they're all sporting brand new rifles that they got for Christmas.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the picture of the 1950 Sears and Roebuck catalog for Christmas. And you know, I asked my parents tonight. My dad, we were talking about the show I did on Santa Claus, and my dad told me he had, him and his brother Bill, my Uncle Bill, had one of those Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer books.
Yeah.
That had been published from Montgomery Ward. He remembered it, and so we were talking about that. And I told him about the Sears catalog and everything, and he said, yeah, he remembered that too.
Mm-hmm.
But we've gone, I said, well, how do we go from a country like that where, you know, we are today? We're just that image. I said, can you imagine the heart attacks that cover with, if Sears came out with that cover today?
Wow.
Can you imagine the heart attacks across progressive land that
Can you imagine how people on The View would be protesting vociferously and demanding that Sears shareholders step away, sell their shares? Oh my God! I want to do that.
They would be divesting everything from Sears and claiming it was racist and anti-woman and, you know, whatever else they whine about.
Well, Professor, I want to do this real quick because we're going to run out of time, and I don't want to do that. First and foremost, I want to thank Rick Trader, the originator of Conservative Commandos Radio Network, for his vision, for his desire, for his love of conservative media, and his desire to have it go around the world on an all-day, all-night network. And I pray that in 2016 it comes to pass. But I want to leave this time period for the professor, as I'm your humble host, the exceptional one, Kim McClinton, for New Day Black and Red. I want to thank the professor for joining me this year and doing this show. I love doing this show every Saturday with him. But, Professor, your final words of hope for this particular nation.
Well, my final words would be that I hope I go out of this world the way I came in it. Naked, screaming, and on a woman's boob.
From all of us at NBC, we say good. Oh my God. Of the three things that you can most have in life, faith, love, and hope. The greatest of these is hope. A man once told me to live bravely so I would never die a coward. I thank him, and I thank you for all of 2015 for your love and admiration for each one of us on our programs, the Underground Professor Show, and also the Exceptional Conservative Show. I want to thank Mary, our beloved bouncer. I want to thank Dave Milner for his continued work with us as a commentator with his conservative bites as an unpleasant blind guy. I want to thank SHR Media, High Plains Talk, and so many others. This has been a wonderful and joyful and prosperous year, and there's some people I've left off, but I most importantly want to thank Mrs. Biggs. Mrs. Biggs has been with me through all of this. She has been a sustainer and a lover of my soul. I love my wife, and as we share our 17th wedding anniversary, I pray her always the greatest joy, the greatest peace, and the greatest prosperity that a woman can ever have. From all of us at New Day Black and Red, we wish you the greatest joy, the greatest peace, and the greatest prosperity for this ending year and for the new year to come.
God bless.
God bless.
Us, everyone.
Yay. Thank you, Professor.
My pleasure, sir.
God bless. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, for all of you who are still here for the Exceptional Conservative Show, I want to thank you all. Also, Deborah Blair, thank you for becoming a mightier conservative. I want to thank all of you. Remember, God bless America. It's time for America to bless God. We'll see you later.